Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Eric Fields. I am a psychologist specializing in gambling addiction. Today, I want to further our discussion about the differences between social, professional, and compulsive or problematic gamblers. I'm going to basically pose a question to you. And if you answer it a certain way, then it's very likely that you fall into the category of a compulsive or problematic gambler, and maybe even someone with a gambling addiction. When social and professional gamblers make their bets, they ask themselves this question: am I okay with losing this amount that I intend to bet? Or another way of asking themselves this question: what is the number that I would be okay to lose? Now, the word okay in this regard simply means that they're not going to be devastated by the loss. They're not going to wake up the next morning and say, I can't believe I blew that much money. It's not going to feel like a real gut punch. So, of course, they may experience some disappointment. That's normal, but they're not going to be really devastated losing that kind of money. And it certainly is not going to trigger them to want to make back this money right away and, as we call it, chase the losses. If you are not asking yourself this question, then it is very, very probable that you are engaged in a compulsive gambling pattern. So the difference here is not really the answer to the question, as I alluded to before, but more importantly, if you're asking this question. And more importantly, maybe, if you're asking a different type of question, which you may not be fully aware of because it may be more like just brewing under the surface. In psychology, we call that the preconscious level, or it is brewing in your subconscious. And what that question very likely is: what is the number that's going to make me sit on the edge of my seat and really excite me? What's that number where I'm feeling, wow, that's risky and exciting? And it could lead to a really great profit or big win. So that is what you have to really be honest with yourself about, right? In terms of placing the bet, am I more focused on the number because it may give me a real thrill if I win? Or am I focused on the number in the sense that I'm expecting that I'm going to lose, which most social gamblers do, or I want to prepare myself for the very real possibility that I'm going to lose, as professional gamblers do? What is that number that I'm okay with losing that won't be so devastating? And to elaborate on that more, for a professional gambler, that's not going to eat away so much of my profits. Compulsive gamblers, they are not asking themselves this question. They're not saying to themselves, let's think of a number that would not be so devastating to lose. They're asking themselves, let me think of a number that's really going to excite the heck out of me. And just like with other addictions, that is why we now know with gambling addiction that it has similar, almost like physical symptoms as other drugs in terms of this concept of tolerance, right? So that just like with any drug or alcohol that a person gets addicted to, over time they need increasing amounts to get the same high. And gamblers need that too. To get that dopamine firing, to get that real excitement, they need increasing amounts as well to get the same high they used to get. So in other words, you may have really gotten off on, placing a $200 bet. That was a big deal back in the day. But now it takes $2,000 or maybe even $20,000. And the reason is because your goal is very different from that of a professional gambler's, as I've discussed before. You're really more interested in getting a thrill, and by getting a thrill or being able to get a thrill, there's got to be a lot of risk involved. And so you're more concerned with the amount that's going to give you that rush, that high, right? Because that is now how your brain is programmed. As opposed to social gamblers and professional gamblers that are looking at it like, what can I afford to lose in terms of an amount that's not going to wipe away my profits, professional gamblers, or an amount that's not going to devastate me, social gamblers, or get me in trouble with my wife or husband. All right, this is Dr. Eric Fields. If you are looking at me like, what? I never ask myself that question in terms of what I'm okay with losing. Chances are very high you're a compulsive gambler, and chances are very high that the question you really ask yourself is, what's the number that's really going to give me a high? This is Dr. Eric Fields, an addiction specialist focusing primarily on gambling addiction. I'll have more to say about this at another time. For more valuable content, please follow me, and I'll speak to you soon.